Videos like these are the toughest ones for me to make because they're ideological. I believe something to be true and I'm predisposed to convince you of it. I prefer to report. I like most just to wax, right? But I've got to convince you of something. We'll see how it goes. I'm not even sure it's useful to convince you. You know, you'd see for yourself. Just look, you know. It's hard to find a way to say that without being condescending. You know, open your eyes is a very acerbic thing to say. I don't like it when people say that to me. My response is usually, well, hold my hand. Like, honestly, you know, that's the kind of person I am. You have something to show me. I can't see it. Guide me there, you know. I try to do that for other people. Unfortunately, at very critical times, it's unappreciated for whatever reason. I spent a lot of time talking about that, but we're not talking about that today. My side, your side, their side. Who am I? What am I doing here? I hope that would have been clear by now. The details are salacious and titillating, and they're unremarkable. They don't help, you know. If you want a good story, you know, it would make a good story, but this is history in the making. A little piece of it. Everybody's life is. And in my view, the purpose is to contribute, you know, your little piece of personal history adds some sense of, you know, strength to whatever it supports, whatever comes after it. Wow. It makes me want to puke. Think about the reality of the stuff. So 5 years ago, I am just a normal person, you know. I can't lean on that anymore. And by now you have a kind of an idea of what kind of normal person I am. I'm pretty nice. I can be pretty spicy. I have the deepest sense of justice, like a commitment to that. It's easy to admire, but when the rubber meets the road, it's actually pretty hard to empathize with. You know, were I a character in a story, I'd be very sympathetic, but like, if you come into contact with people like me, like, and I'd say this retrospectively, you know, I don't set out to be this way, but apparently, like, we're more difficult types of people to live with and know. And although if you read history, quite worth it. You know, maybe people like me live our lives for people that haven't been born yet. Isn't that weird? No one told me that. Just that's what comes to mind. So I'm that kind of person, and I've lived that kind of life. I had a very sedentary life until about 5 or 6 years ago. as you know. Kind of like an elder god of the internet. What I mean by that is I've been online for a very long time, since like the beginning, you know, which is something to say globally in a way that makes me very sophisticated, you know. I'm not the, you know, there's plenty of people that are way savvier than me. I never claimed to be that, you know. But like I've been watching, I've been playing, and I've always been good online, you know, good to people. It always really hurt me, the sense of justice. From like the moment I was on to see how shitty people could be to each other. And it always delighted me to see how good people could be to each other. I never thought that was significant at all. Um, and as the net became wider and denser, you know, it didn't just diffuse, it like, there's a lot of pathways, a lot of volume. It became richer and more invaginated and just newbie after newbie after newbie. Virtual villain after virtual villain, you know. Like, who cared? Who cared? It was just online. It's hard for me to say this because it's just so stupid, you know. I know it in my head, but I've never spoken of it. No one gets thrown under the bus, like. And I don't want to. I want to go through this. I want to get through this to a point, but I also don't want to skip over it too quickly. Like, I don't know. I still haven't processed all this, you know. And I'm really hesitant to like draw an overarching moral for that. Not because I don't know what it should be, you know, what it means, but like I struggle to get a sense of who you all are, you know, and tailor it to you in a way that would very easily integrate into your worldview and benefit you. And I feel like if I don't, I do you a disservice that you won't even know what you were missing, you know. I want you to not have to deal with the kind of things that I've dealt with. And I want kids in the future, you know. Despite all the technical details or episodes I'm going to describe, or at least brush over, after reflecting on this enough, you know, it's the same lesson, the same root of the problem. Conflicts in human nature, in individual human hearts. Which I avoid talking about. Because people tend not to pay attention Or if they do, they don't know how to act on that, which is a whole other domain of life that may serve this dilemma, but like the discipline of it is so far removed from the things that I'm going to discuss here that I don't know, just I doubt you have the capacity to put those things together, and I doubt I have the ability, at least here right now, to put them together for you. I've been working on this, I'll be working on it. So I'm some guy, I've been on the net a long time, I game a lot, I interact with people online. I'm very bold. I'm super cool, but if I don't like you, I'll let you know. In like a way that the worse of a person you are, the more I'll fucking hurt you. You know, like, I'm super good. And if you're super bad, like, and we have words, and there's a contest, like a shooter match, a game, a video game, in the middle of that, to kind of like symbolically declare a victor of each point of view, and I fucking beat you, you're gonna fucking hate me. You should know this, I know you know this, that some people become psychotically heated online playing video games. Literally, psychotically heated. They would fucking kill you, you know. They might cool off after a while, they might not. But they'll pull together with other people. And they'll remember you. Computers help people remember things, you know. I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure. I've made enough headway now that I'm not worried, but I will certainly be dealing with this for the rest of my life. You know. Vendetta. Vendetta is like one of the oldest human tendencies. An oath of hatred. An oath. A heavy thing. What did, was it Polonius? No, it was Hamlet's in his mother's chamber. Heavy deed. Heavy deed. Young men don't understand that. I have to assume that some kind of vendetta must have been sworn on me. It's ridiculous. I didn't believe it. I put it out of my mind for years because it's so stupid. But I've gone through a lot of possibilities, and that seems pretty feasible given the ridiculousness of this. So I was a guy online, kick some ass against some really shitty people. And I mean, not just arbitrarily shitty. You know how shitty people are. You don't have to say a word, and like, they'll just punch children. They'll kick puppies. And even if you don't say a word, they'll look at you and be like, that's what I thought, right? You know, people like to do that shit in whatever way. I'm being very general. I don't want to get, it's stupid. It's fucking stupid. It's psychotic. Like dissociated from reality. But I'll fuck with it. You know, you've got a little squad of people that you are familiar with, that you like, so you feel a little emboldened, you know. You might say something you might not otherwise say. It might be actually pretty tactful, but like biting in a subtle way. And some fucking aspie just, you know, that's it. They're gonna nuke you, you know. But they don't know, like, you're out there too. You know, everybody has an address. Everybody lives in a place. Everybody depends on like life away from that little set activity to survive, you know. I don't fuck with that. It's just beyond the pale to me. I don't care enough about you or us or whatever to like break the fourth wall. That's, I would consider that suicidal. I would consider that hurting myself, because I would open myself up to like a world of things that I know enough about to respect. Other people don't give so much of a fuck, right? So what? So we have to enter a tangent now, mandatorily. Completely unrelated. Meanwhile, it's 2015, 2014, something like that. The social fabric of our country, the states, or maybe the world generally, is being tested. I'm not going to say falling apart. I don't believe that's true, but like, meanwhile, there are groups, there are vested interests attempting to destabilize democracy, all right? Like, it's that fucking simple. It's so stupid. They're on a budget. They can't do it militarily, obviously, because we're the fucking United States and shall remain so. We'll talk about that later, big fish. But this is a conversation for all the little people, you know, of every stripe. So they take a look, think tank types, somewhere else, who cares, into you know, the most vulnerable footholds, the easiest place to purchase, the easiest place just to do any kind of harm for the cheapest value. We are super transparent. You can look up what we're doing. You know, we don't shield our net. Private business is private business, you know, like anyone can create an account for any fucking community and take a look, which is fine, which is great. So some motherfuckers go trolling like looking for stuff. What is it called? Scraping. Who's unhappy? What if you could type into a computer, who's about to lose their shit today and about what? And just imagine, hypothetically, it would give you an answer. My name would show up somewhere, for whatever reason. The algorithm, the method. I'm so tired of the word algorithm. Like the parameters that it's not a science yet. You just get back generic information. Who's squawking? Who's squabbling? And a machine will give you a fire hose, right? That you can drink from and like refine your sense of like who's on the edge. And you start to think as like, an adversarial interest whose express purpose is to destabilize social factions in the United States of any kind, throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks and what consequences it has politically, socially. This is a substitute for direct military action that wouldn't be feasible. And they're completely clinical about it. They're completely removed, don't care. In their mind, a precedent has been set. These people they've sworn a vendetta against us or some part of us. You know what I mean? So they don't care. They'll encourage some groups of people, discourage other groups of people, switch it as soon as whenever they want, One of the types of people they search for are people like me, not just because but like I start a unique kind of fight. If you see the kind of people I attract that stick to me, it's interesting from an analytical perspective. I'm very fascinated. So I begin to be watched by people I would prefer did not watch me. I don't know this. Other shitbirds, because I'm so interesting, other shitbirds get referred to me. What happens when he interacts with these guys? We can find out about people through throwing them at him and seeing how they bounce off. And like obviously I'm not the only one, but like you do this enough times, you find out enough about what makes who tick, and you can predict how and when they might explode. And you can weave your foreign policy, into this and make stuff happen at the right time. You can preoccupy populations with horseshit and get away with something you might not other get away with, or the possibilities are endless. Imagine you're some rich fuck who doesn't have to work, and all you do is dream of possibilities. Imagine you're someone like me. Well, in addition to what I've just described, you would have because you were someone like me, somewhere far removed. We're not even talking about my peers here. You would see yourself in me. And me, Jim Henning, would become even more interesting to you. And if I, Jim Henning, ever caught on to that, I would begin to address you as a peer, and that would blow your fucking mind. And you would be hooked. And this shit would escalate to another level because it would get personal. Okay. And you would feel completely safe because Jim Henning doesn't know who you are or where you are. But he can make guesses. Because a lot of people have, human beings have a lot more in common than they have not in common. His guesses start to make you nervous, you know. And in the same way that you used to just bounce people off him socially for information, you know, you betray how powerful and like how ruthless and therefore who you probably work for by introducing people into his life who only someone of your station would be bold enough to introduce or have the resources, right? To obfuscate yourself and insulate yourself, you handpick a few of the original shitbirds that you were bouncing off Mr. Henning and kind of bring them into the fold. Put them, at least seemingly, in charge of your what word should I use? What euphemism would you like to pick? This is garbage. Take two. About 5 or 6 years ago, I, as a nobody, caught the attention of like the dark spirit of the internet, you know, and interacted with it in such a way that it escalated to an embarrassing level of exposure for people who, among other things, act as enemies of Western democracy. Period. It took me a while to realize this. It took me a while to even accept it after I had realized this. I struggled greatly deciding what to do. And it changed me as a human being. And despite how angry it made me, the process of coming to accept this is reality, where it had been so unthinkable to who I had been, who had always been. That softened my heart. This softening of my heart is continually tested because I refuse to give up the principles that, fueled my side, my responsibility of this escalation. Why did I refuse? Because embodying those principles nourished me in a way that I sought my entire life, you know. It gave me something that I cared about more than life itself as it currently was. Life it could be became within my reach, and I decided that was better. It was not even a choice, it was so obvious. Anyone would do that. Anyone ought to do that if you ever get the chance. It's the most beautiful thing you could ever experience. I wish I could bottle it and give it to you, you know, in a way that wouldn't spoil it. So that weirdness is part of my personality that keeps fucking things up for everyone, you know, because like, what does that even mean? You know, forget it. Sense of justice, softening of myself through psychotic bourgeois adversity. If I had confidence in myself, or you know, a good outcome for this situation during all this time, it was based on you. I imagine you, kind friend, as an fucking excellent. In this particular storm, you are all good storm buddies. So there's that. And like, you've proven, I'm not guessing. Normal people are fucking great. I love you guys. And then the fact that my adversaries or whatever, you know, these fucking people, they're incapable of military actions. So, you know, when it comes down to it, like, it'll be just, oh, I'm sorry, oh, we'll you know, like, they've got nothing. And on top of that, they're like bougie dumbasses. They have no... They're only willing to be as aggressive as luxury will allow them. Sure, they'll send other people unwittingly to like the grinder or whatever it is, but like the moment they personally feel a little pressure, hence the Russian sanctions, hence repoing cartel territory, you know. Like, once the people in charge, oh, pobrecito, oh. So that gave me confidence, because they're cowards. I mean, really cowards. And the third thing, so there's you, that gave me confidence, the cowardice of the ethic of them. If they weren't cowards, if they had honor, they would come to the table and this would be over. That's not an offer. I'm just fucking that train. You fucking blew that. But as far as I'm concerned, fucking good luck finding someone who's nicer to you than me. Fucking dipshits. And the third thing that gave me confidence, what was it? It just fell out of my mind. What, you're going to kill me more? You know, like, I became so hyper invested in this, and like, if I ever seem frail, you know, it's because a lot of pressure has been put on me. The moment that I started to approach root, you know, in this problem, they like way over escalated and like did the death threat thing, right? If you don't stop, we're gonna fucking kill you. That happened so long ago, right? That like, they blew that card. They never showed mercy, you know. without going into detail, if I ever like de-escalated, they would think, oh, the knife is in, and they do something to try to twist, but the knife wouldn't be in, and I'm just like, that. So that's who you are. This would happen multiple times. I'm testifying to this emptily. I don't want to go into it. It's not worthwhile. You can take me at my word for this or not. I would fuck. I Too many things happened. It's just so dense. I just want to fucking forget about it for a while. So 3 things gave me confidence. And it's a certain point I realized that, like, because this is fundamentally about whether Western democracy thrives or decays a little bit, and to what degrees, Remember that what these adversarial entities want is to be able to act in ways, well, they want to be able to become rich, which is reasonable. What is the fucking problem? What is their problem? They want to become rich, but not just. They want to become rich in a way that satisfies a prejudicial vendetta against what they believe we represent. Period. It's sophisticated. They don't even realize it. So it's not good enough for them to, like, prosper, but we've got to fucking suffer too, right? Because we deserve it, or whatever. They're honoring something. Maybe something worthwhile, someone, they loved that died, or just their own sense of spite. Their own sense of spite may be reasonable within the domain of, human experience, or they might be fucking psychotic. And because everything depends on bold criminality, there is a premium on fucking psychotic, motivated go-getters. They rise to the top. Their fucking landscape becomes the way of doing business. And, like, no one will tell them that they're fucking crazy. Except the Marines. Welcome to planet Earth. I feel embarrassed. I'm doing this super raw right here. I feel like I owe you more of that. Like, just simple, dumb honesty. I'm sure you've had enough of my whatever. So where are we in this story? I was just some guy. Pointless video game feuds. Yeah. No, seriously. To which I was like a white knight who would attract the most ugliest people there are online. And foreign powers that be got involved. I was like I submit to you that my life or my story is like a quintessential example of that, for which there are many other types of stories that probably haven't been told, Fancy myself a good person. Also fancy myself someone who doesn't take shit and sticks up for other people. That became the results of that became very interesting technically to adversarial enterprise. Their strategies and methods became modeled on me and people like me. I developed a personal relationship with the directors of these type of things because I am like them. That put me in a different class of mark and in real scary fucking danger. To obscure this, the directors I am feuding with elevate the previously no important psychotic monster people that I fight with online, or anyone that they can, to like sergeant or lieutenant status, you know, generically speaking. Put them in charge of really gross dark web violent contractors, whoever's available. So in the chance that I survive or whatever and it gets traced, it was a domestic internet feud all along, and the circle of shame resides completely within the United States or the Western powers. So, like, you know, good move. I see this because I'm smarter than they are and more deserving, and if I had a third, a tenth of the opportunity that they had, ironically, in a fucking shitty country, you know, but they're the privileged set of the shitty country, yeah. Well, I would have created a fucking beautiful system. So, they fucking hate me, and I fucking hate them. I refuse to hurt even I refuse to hurt anyone within the Western sphere, ethically, because I've been softened. And I guess politically, because that would serve the purpose of the people I hate, you know? I throw out a few "I'm coming for yous" that actually land pretty fucking poignant, so poignantly that, like, do you ever hurt someone so bad you're embarrassed? You're like, oh dude, I hit you too hard. You know, I didn't have to go that hard. Like in Dragon Ball, you only reveal so much of your power as needed to like defeat an opponent. You don't go full final form on Yamcha. This would be embarrassing, you know. So maybe I punched someone a little too hard, didn't know my own strength. Not, I don't regret their pain, but I think, oh geez, wow. I think a little more of myself for that. My ego swells a little bit, but like the gratitude for the support and just kind of like the methodical nature and the patience that I've shown working through this overshadows any kind of arrogance, like the desire to feed off that in myself. And then what? I don't know, they just keep coming at me. I thought, it went out of control. Like, I've established such a vendetta with such a weird group of people that they will probably want me for the rest of my life, you know. And I've been untouchable so many times that now I know some portion of the fucking American underworld. I mean the continental American underworld. So now I know a little bit about how they operate in their networks. And I'm like, you guys want to keep doing this? Like, I don't have a budget. I am totally amateur here. I become more interested in the politics of the United States, of general welfare, because I realize the only reason these people have access, the only way they can hurt me is through my countrymen, you know? And I love my countrymen. And I think if I create a better world for them, they won't they won't have a reason to work for such shitty people. They won't be tricked into it. Anyone who acted against me, I can't really hold a grudge because they don't know that their strings are being pulled. Even if they don't care, like they think they don't care, but if they saw what the string puller would do next, or a couple moves down the line, would be to take their shit. They will use you, pay you well, and then fucking enslave you. That's the game. And I know, no matter what you think of me, Vato, I know you're not down with that. I know that about you. We grew up together, you know. So I'm not asking you to choose between two masters. I'm just pointing out the obvious, that you want to be the master of your own destiny, you know? And all I'm saying is, like, that dude's not gonna fucking, unless you really want to fuck with the devil and you think, like, you can use them and turn on them, like, that's a move. It's been done. I don't know if you can do that or not. It's not my fucking place. I don't advise it. Because you're fucking with foreign intelligence agencies with, like, a tradition of conquering people like you, of using people like you. I mean, you don't have to take my word for that, but if you want to know if that's true, you'd have to read, Don't fuck with the Russians. Like, don't take anything from them. Or at least don't do what they tell you to do. They're not your fucking friends. If you think you're like a tough cartel guy, and you are, no doubt. But, like, there are other places, there were people before you. What happened to Mexico? What Mexico is like fucking. If you know anything, learn about Serbia, learn about Croatia, Albania, Macedonia. Learn about Eastern Europe. And learn about the Soviet influence, It's complicated. You can't just point a finger and say those people hurt those people. It's so much uglier than that. And the end result, the point of why I'm telling you this is, like, at the end of the day, all it produces is normal people who will tear each other limb from limb for nothing. That's what following orders from people like that result in. It's not a critique of your methods, of the necessity of your business. It's saying the things that happen outside that you wouldn't even approve of, like scale up rapidly, beyond the pale. And by the time you notice, you'll be like 15, 30 years in and unwilling to do anything about it because you've had enough. And you'll be so disgusted that all you'll want to do is move your kids or anyone that you care about as far away from that kind of thing as you can. But you won't be able to because you've helped destroy the only part of the world that values safe havens, the kind of havens that you would want for people that you love, that protects them. So what am I saying? I was a normal person and I lived my life in such a way, without breaking the law, by the way, um, as to have adversarial foreign political agencies whose goal was political destabilization of the United States, sick intimidation thugs and like contract killers on me. Cartel people were available, obviously. You don't even want to know. I knew I knew who's truly responsible, you know. Otherwise or I was just losing my fucking mind. And eventually I would see something that contradicted what I thought was occurring. That never happened. And I refused, because I knew who was responsible, I fucking was loath to punish the actors, the contractors. Because that would create this whole kerfuffle in the United States that would serve the purpose of the people just as well, if not more, than like my extermination, right? I developed a personal antipathy, acrimony with the hypothetical, like whoever is in the chairs behind these, and I began to speak to them, speak down to them. And here we are. They're still they're still somewhere else. They're still beyond my personal reach. And yet they can't they've played all their cards. They've got nothing left. So now they're embarrassed. And they're either going to come up with something new or let it go, or they'll have other problems to deal with, you know. And that's just where it is for me. To save my life, and to, ironic, to risk it, maybe save it, I don't know. I've chosen to serve you. Good person. Visibility is what keeps me alive, you know. And it's not even that. Honestly, visibility is what ensures that they don't win in the case that I die. You know, if I die, you'll know who and you'll know why. And that will diffuse any antipathy between sets, I hope. You know, not that I'm going to go. I'm a I'm pretty tough. I'm not invincible. Like, I think that's our time. Was that enough? Was that too much? It's about the stability of our sense of goodwill throughout our entire society. We hold on to that, we've already won. We've already won this, you guys. We'll talk more about that later.